All rise. Voulez-vous le lever? Please be seated. Voulez-vous asseoir?
Thank you very much. Witness, welcome back. Mr. Garcia, please proceed.
Now, Mr. Witness, when we left off, you had mentioned that Mr. Sang had Mr. William Ruto as a guest in studio. Do you remember what they would have spoken about?
The campaign was about then to campaign for the party of Orange Democratic Movement, and support took directly to the Kalenjin community to support ODM.
Can you tell us, Mr. Witness, what was Mr. Sang's position on people who did not support the ODM?
Actually, the people who could not support ODM by then, he could react and say, that is yours. And then he could mention some word which could show that he was not supporting anybody who was not supporting ODM by then.
Now, just for the transcript, Mr. Witness, you say he could react and say that is, we didn't understand the word. What was the word?
That if somebody could call in who is supporting the opposite party, like PNU, could talk shortly and then could say, okay, that is yours. But when somebody called in from the ODM side, could add more words to support it, which means his heart was in the other side of ODM.
Your Honors, I'd like to go into private section for 2-3 minutes.
But before that, is that to elaborate on the testimony? Is the witness's testimony to the effect that if a caller called in expressing support for the party opposed to ODM, Mr. Sang would cut that caller short and say, that is your view, to that person? But is that what you said?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. But if somebody called in supporting the ODM, then that person had more time to speak on Mr. Sang's show. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You want to go to private session now?
Yes, for a couple of minutes, Your Honor.
A private session.
We're in open session, Mr. President.
Mr. Witness, we were just mentioning the names of callers that would get on CAS FM to speak with Mr. Sang. You just mentioned Chief Whip. Is there anybody else that comes to mind?
There's so many others I cannot remember, but so many.
Now, for these people, Councillor High Rise, Kipkinginyo, Laitoriat, Chief Whip, when they would come online and speak to Mr. Sang, what would they say generally?
Some of them could support the the site of new draft. I could talk at length about, sometimes talk about the unity of Kalenjin, sometimes talk about the supporting the draft constitution, sometimes depending on a political reaction on that particular day, because Sang could bring several topics on daily basis. Some development, some times could be Kalenjin unity, some, yeah. This is the group of people whom actually sent a message to the ground, because they have long airtime to speak and could change the directions of the community.
Can you tell us what type of message they would send to the community, to the ground?
Sometimes could be to take people to support the Honorable William Ruto. That could be, take a line to show that nobody had a leader could be ahead of a king of the Kalenjin by then, or the leader of the Kalenjin by then. So they could talk in support of him, and anybody could talk contrary to that could not get any support even from public, the rest of the people who are calling in.
You said that one of the messages would be that to show that nobody could get a leader, a king of Kalenjin by then. What do you mean by that?
Yes, it was something like perception that Ruto was actually taking over from the then retired president as somebody who could lead a Kalenjin in the direction of that, yeah.
Well, who was talking about this exactly? That
most of the callers by then. And it was not daily, it's every day could be a different topic.
And when you say that position that Ruto was actually taking over from the retired president, what exactly do you mean by that?
You know, Kalenjin believed that one leader at a time, and President Moi was somebody who was actually the big person who was being an head of Kalenjin from a long time, since 50s, to after the retirement in active politics.
And at that point in time, in 2005, was there a leader of the Kalenjin?
Yes, actually, there was nothing special from Ruto, but because he was just an ordinary MP like the other MPs. But because of this propaganda that had been laid in the radio stations, he took over the mantle and become somebody who was really well known and active, and somebody who could be like a leader of the Kalenjin. And
you're saying propaganda, but what radio station was putting out this propaganda of him being...
I can confirm it's KSFM most of the time. But also, the same callers could also call to another radio station which belonged to Royal Media, that is Chamgay FM.
And who on KSFM was putting out this propaganda that Mr. Ruto was the leader of the Kalenjin?
Mr. Sang actually was like, you know, Sang is a good speaker. He can manipulate, he can change mind of the people when he talks. And that is how he can use his talent to make people change.
Can you just briefly explain to us what was this propaganda that Mr. Sang was putting out there regarding...
I could say...
remember the 5 seconds, regarding Mr. Ruto.
I could say that sometimes could even put a question to say that who is supposed to be ahead of the Kalenjin at the moment. And people could take people as if we have seen somebody who is fighting for us, who have been somebody who is supporting with us within the Constitution. That is to say that Ruto was then the person who was against the Constitution, which could have taken over our lands. So that is to say that he was meaning Ruto. But when the people call actually is 100 and almost 90% could say, support the same idea.
Lines 3 and 4, Mr. Garcia. I think we have the witness said Royal Media, which was Chamgay FM.
Yes, indeed, Your Honor, Chamgay, and I think it was mentioned by the witness initially in his testimony, so I think we do have the spelling. It's CHAMGAI. Can you give us is that the correct spelling, Mr. Witness?
Chamgay is CHAMGEI. Chamgay FM.
I stand corrected, so it's GEI. Now, Mr. Witness, do you know if the radio station KAS FM was open all the time during 2005?
Yes, it was open, and I think it was started and actually it was launched officially in June 1st, I think 2005.
And in 2005, was it, and during that year, was it always continuously broadcasting?
Yes, Your Honor. But there was a time which was closed briefly in August, or I cannot remember the time, but it's this August or July.
And we're speaking about 2005?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you remember why it was closed briefly?
It was perceived that people have used the same radio to incite other people against other communities.
Who was inciting people against other communities?
Sang was in the radio, and several people could call in to say Kikuyus directly. And that was the time, actually, there was a lot of tension against Kikuyu. And as time was about, the draft constitution was about to take place in October.
I asked you the question, who was inciting people against other communities? You said that Sang was in the radio.
Yes, it's the program, let's name it, and then the people who call in could talk directly against particular communities, especially Kikuyus.
What was Sang saying at that time?
Yeah, he was just putting the program, and then the people could call in, and then that one could show that he was supporting the same message. People could call in, and people were incited at that particular point. That's why even when it was closed, some of the shopping market was the things for the communities like women were taken over by the community, like in a place called Jepterit.
I'm going to come back to that in a second. You said that people would call in and say Kikuyu directly, and that was a time actually there was a lot of tension. What were the people calling in to say about Kikuyus at that time?
It was about a new constitution, but actually it was like they want to take advantage of new constitution to take our land after all.
Okay, so when you're saying the people would say that the Kikuyus wanted to take over the land, is that it?
Yes, they take advantage of new constitution if they're going to win it, and then they will take over our land.
What would Mr. Sang say to that when this was being said on the radio? Remember the 5 seconds?
Mr. Sang could not say directly, but using some parables to show that he was supporting the group. But he was not talking directly because KAS FM is a national radio. It can be listened to by even security. So he could not talk live directly, otherwise could be arrested.
So what was he saying in parables to show his support for the group?
That's what I was telling you, that sometimes could say, you know, that nobody loves you. You need to be united so that you be more stronger. Otherwise, the divisions about yourself could show that you will not succeed if you are not united. So those things that could say that you could give an enemy to enter into your territory.
I'd just like for you to explain to us that last part. You could say that you could give an enemy to enter in your territory. What do you mean by that?
Yes, if you could, your unity will make people now come in and fight you as a community.
And when he's talking about the unity of the community, who is he speaking about?
Actually, according to him, I think people who could support Honorable Ruto are now united. But me, I'm sure that Kalenjin community have been united since even during the Moi time. They were in the same party. I don't know why during this referendum it's coming like a new thing when the Kalenjin were informed that you have to be united. And yet they have been united in the same party since the time I can remember.
Your Honors, I'd like to go in private session for 2 minutes.
Private session.
We're in open session, Mr. President.
Mr. Witness, I'm going to repeat my question. Can you tell the court why is it, to your understanding, that this message of the Nandis uniting first is something that displeased Mr. Sang or didn't go well with Mr. Sang?
By then, Mr. Sang was saying we want to be united as Kalenjin. And that one could be not good for the certain community like Nandi community to just isolate themselves and say we want to be united first as Nandis. And could put even the song which could show the same that we need to unite as a Kalenjin first. Which say Kipsegi Sagnandi Ungia Omege, which is this song was actually to sing to propagate the same message of being united as Kalenjin first, not as a Nandi.
And you said something in Nandi. Can you just repeat that and spell us the words you mentioned?
I was saying that there was a song which is saying that, which was sang by that time Sang was putting it, which was actually played all the time, that Kipsegis that is a song which is for the unity of the Kalenjin.
And the unity of the Kalenjin behind what leader?
Behind, by then it was...
Mr. Kitsia, easy. Did the witness say that?
I can ask the question again and reformulate it.
Yeah, let's be careful, very careful. Witness, you said that you've told us about a meeting, and you mentioned 3 leaders. We have that on record. And you say those leaders were exploring, or rather promoting, the idea of unity of the Nandi. And you said that did not go down well with Mr. Sang, who was in favor of unity of the Kalenjin. That's your message, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so the Nandis are, as is that the case, a subgroup of a broader ethnic group called the Kalenjins. Is that the case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. So Mr. Sang, according to you, was in favor of the broader unity, whereas these leaders were in favor of the first Nandis, the subgroup, unity.
Yes, by then, not that they didn't want the larger Kalenjin community, but they wanted first to unite as Nandis.
Thank you. And you said that in favor of, as I understood your testimony, you were saying that in favor of his own vision of unity, of Kalenjins,
Yes.
that Mr. Sang was playing a certain song
Yes, Your Honor.
regularly on his radio show. That's your testimony. Can you write out the title of that song? You said it in your testimony, beginning with Kipsigis. I think I heard that. Can you write the whole thing out, and like you've done before, put it on the record for us? Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Please spell it one word at a time.
That's, I think, just part of the song. It's not full song. But I can start to say Kipsigis is Kipsigis, which is Kipsigis, and then Ak, A-K, and then Nandi, N-A-N-D-I. Ungiomege, that is O-N-G-I-Y-A-M-E-G-E-I. And then another Tugeniek, that is T-U-G-E-N-Y-E-K, and then Ak, A-K, and then Keio, that is K-E-I-Y-O, Ongiomege. That's the same word as the other one.
Thank you very much.
And it was a song always played, yeah.
Thank you. And you say this song means what?
This is to say Kipsigis and Nandi, let's unite. Also Tuken and Keio, let's unite. And then it's played, these songs were actually played by a musician from Kipsigis.
Thank you. Mr. Gesia, proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now I'd like to have the help of the court officer to show the witness a document. It's KenOTP 0036-0091. It's confidential. It's already in evidence. EBD TOTP 00244. It could be found in binder number 3, tab 60. And I'd ask we go in private just 1 minute to ask him 2 questions on it.
Private session.
We are in open session, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Witness, did you listen to CAS FM radio after the post-election violence in 2008?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, can you tell us generally what was being said on Cass FM after the post-election violence?
First, it was talking about what was going on in Serena, which was Ruto was part of the committee members.
Going on where? Serena, you said?
Serena Hotel, yeah.
Serena Hotel.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Is anything else being said on Cass FM?
And that was about, actually, and then later on, after the agreement, on 28 February, they start talking about making of the government. And they want to say who is supposed to be which position in the ministry of the coalition government.
Now, Mr. Witness, to your knowledge, were any youth arrested for their implication in the post-election violence?
And that was the third topic which was also being discussed after the forming of the government. They gave the pressure to the then Prime Minister of Kenya, Honorable Raila Odinga, that the youths who have been arrested should be released, and the youth who have been arrested during the violence. And to make matters worse, even the leaders, including Ruto himself, was actually putting that pressure to say youths must be released because of they have been supporting us until now we are in the government, and they are now suffering in jail. And I could not refuse that some youths could be released, that's no problem. But this was all youths. They didn't even specify those youths who commit crime during the time. So I could fail to understand why they could raise that thing to say youths in general to be released, instead of making the law to take its roots. Then innocence could come out. And that pressure actually gave to the government. I think some, after that, I think nobody has ever been arrested in connection with that, if there is maybe one or two.
You said that, Mr. Witness, that this was the third topic. Who was talking about this on Cass FM?
It was because MPs from the Kalenjin community were actually talking about this, and Sang also was putting this pressure that our youths have been arrested, they need to be released, so that this is conditions to the government by then.
Can you give us a time frame of when this was being said? Just a minute, wait until I finish. A time frame approximately of when people were saying this on the radio, Mr. Sang and other people.
That is between February and up to April, when the government was officially formed.
Just for the record, we're speaking about 2008?
Yes, 2008.
And you said that including Mr. Ruto himself was actually putting that pressure.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you tell us specifically what you remember Mr. Ruto doing or saying in this regard?
I can remember he was in a meeting in Kisumu. I can remember, but it was in a television, I cannot know when. But he was actually saying that the youth should be released because they are the ones who are help us by blocking roads and whatever, and yet they are suffering. They have to be released. So it was an open thing that he was campaigning the youth to be released. In general, not a specific individual who are maybe could look innocent.
And in regards to Mr. Ruto saying this himself in a meeting in Kisumu, are you able to give us an approximate date for this, or a month?
I think during that time, because when he was there, he was really cheered by the group there in Kisumu when he was talking about this.
You said during what time exactly?
I think after formation of the government, after April or before, just in March. I can't remember exact date.
Your Honors, I'd like to go into closed session for about 5 minutes.
Mr. Garcia, it's been well over an hour when you said you'll be finishing in 30 minutes. We'll let you go on until 1, but then you stop. That's the end of it. Unless you stopped sooner than that, which is also welcome. But your examination in chief will definitively be ending at 1 o'clock.
I'm grateful, Your Honor.
We will go into private session.